Hey, Shalom Markins, Rakam Makapash from JMS London, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, B'Shem Chachadash. Want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the whole world that's pushing this truth in all sincerity. Back again with another video. This is just going to be a quick one. Given everything that's going on in the Middle East right now with, the US and Iran, right? All of this is going to, spread throughout the rest of the world. We already seeing it in terms of the economic effects it's having on the rest of the world, the fuel, energy pricing, all that kind of stuff, right? So it's already having an effect on the whole world, right? But there's more. There's more that Esau is gonna do to cripple the world and put everybody in fear, right? Because Esau's ultimate end game is to get everybody, micro C hipped, right? For them to take the mark of the beast. And so he's gonna have to do more and more things in these different places. And we saw, here in the UK, like this we know the usual suspects, right? The victim, the victims, right? The professional victims, right? In these small hats, right? All these things are here to be, treated as a T attack and all these different types of things. But here in the UK we had some JOO ambulances, right, be set on fire, right? And obviously they were trying to put it down to some sort of T attack. They were playing the victimhood card and that, but it just so happened that, these ambulances, they were kind of old and, obviously the man got the insurance payout and they got some brand new ambulances now, so, take what you will from that. But, they're trying to kind of exacerbate the situation that's going there in the Middle East with, creating T attacks around the world. Right now, this is likely to happen. I said it before in previous videos. Because of this war, you're gonna find that T attacks are gonna be up. More false flags and Black Swan events and all these different types of things. They expect them to happen. To increase the stakes of what's going on in the Middle East, man, to bring everybody into this war, right? And to lock down on people's rights and freedom of movements and that kind of stuff. So they want to get in this digital ID, right? And so this that sort of scenario is a good catalyst for them to push that, right? And for you to put people to accept it, to feel safe, right? Or to get access to or secure some type of food or resources or whatever, right? Because everything's going to be strained. Everything's going to be strained from here on out. They're talking about more CV19 variants again, right? There was another was it measles? Was it measles outbreak or something like that recently? Try to do the whole make it scary type thing. There's only a few men got it, but they're trying to make it out. Oh, it's it's growing or whatever. All right, so they're gonna use all these different tactics as they always do, right? With their witchcraft, through their media and all that kind of stuff to convince you that everything's on like high alert type thing. And but it's just Esau orchestrating events, like this and worse, right? To make you believe that something's really happening. Okay, that's all natural. That these men are actually doing stupid ass attacks. Because come on, man, these things, yeah, you put it in the news and you make it seem like they're out to get them. The JOOs because of the war in Iran and all this kind of stuff. Bro, but who attacks an ambulance? What is the point of that? If you wanted to do damage, you wouldn't attack an ambulance. It doesn't make any sense, but it's good for the newspapers. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, they're out to get them because Iranians are so crazy. They ain't that fucking crazy, or at least not that fucking smart. You know what I mean? Why would you attack an ambulance? Bro, wouldn't you go to the hospital or something? It just don't make no sense. These guys always do some minimal damage type things, but enough to put it in the newspaper to get everybody to be afraid or whatever, to push a narrative. But this is what they do. So apparently they got somebody to put them on bail. Free men running off. They caught 3 guys or whatever. Are they Iranians? I don't know. You know. So 4 Jewish ambulances set on fire in London in what health secretary calls sickening attack. Oh. Counter-terrorist police investigating after horrific. Horrific. Why? Why is it horrific? You know, just bare adjectives. You know what I mean? Descriptive adjective or adverbs, whatever they call them, man. You know, to make it, so you know that it's so bad. It's just, you know what I mean? It ain't that deep. Some burning cars. You know, it's not the first time people seen burning cars before. You know, but it's to put forward that these men are being aggressive. People are in danger because there's crazy Iranians out there or whoever, and they know they're out here trying to attack people, especially the JWOs. They need protecting. They need our support. It's all bollocks. It's all bollocks. All right, but again, they're gonna make the people feel like there's some sort of danger that they need to be protected from. Okay, so they got an excuse to bring in the MOTB. But let's jump into the scriptures. Revelation chapter 12, verse 12 says, "Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth he have but a short time." All right, these they want to kind of get this wrapped up now. They finally attacking Iran, with Israel and that, right? At least the flocks will draw them out. So they finally, they've crossed that line now, right? I mean, they're actually going back and forth with it now. But there's more still to be done because the whole world ain't, they're unsure what's really going on, and because Trump's just lying, lying constantly, verbal lying, verbal diarrhea lying, right? Just can't help himself, just lie every time he opens his mouth, right? So people are just like, what the fuck's going on? And he's obviously alienating his allies and shit. So it's like, what the hell? But they're going to be forced to, jump on the bandwagon with America because, the home Europe and that's going to be so dangerous because we're going to have, T attacks and everything, and they're going to kind of push that type of narrative. You might find another Black Swan event type like 9/11 happen. I think it's blamed on the rain on Iran or whatever, just to speed up the process of bringing this MOTB in, because the technology is there. We've all covered it. The digital ID, they've all got that already set up, So they already have all this technology here, man. It's just getting you people to adopt it, right? And so you have to be kind of put under pressure to do so, right? And so that's why Esau does these things, right? You just think, oh, it's natural, organic, because Iranians are angry, because it makes it would make sense. Right, that man are angry, and because you think that's what they're like anyway, they manage to go and put on a vest and just go blow themselves up, right? Because that's what a normal person would do, right? Yeah, they just put on vests and blow themselves up, right? So the narrative is easy to believe because man's angry, yeah, as they would be, right? But the fact that why would they travel like all the way over to Britain or whatever just to go and put, or obviously you got Iranians living in these different places, why would they do this? What effect does it really have? What are they trying to achieve? It doesn't do anything. So what would be the point in doing it? But it makes a good story, and it could be believable in it, because of considering what's going on or whatever. So that's what they like doing, to make you believe that something's going on, and it's not really at that level. Sluggy, won't give me 1 second. We'll close this door. The machine's making a lot of noise. All right, but yeah, so these elites want to wrap things up, man. So they're gonna, push more of these agendas, these FFs and BSs, and T attacks and all that kind of business, right? So expect to see more of this type of stuff going on, right? It says in Psalm 64 verse 5, so they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them, right? Because they're putting all these different types of strings, and people don't understand that. A lot of these guys are just agents, agent provocateurs and all these different types of things that they're paying, right, to spin this narrative, right? It might not be who you think it is, it's insiders or proxies or whatever, but they're in control. It's like, it's not a T group. It's a funded militia. that's on their side. They're being used for this, that, and the third to create narratives. All right, CIA, FBI, CIA type shit. But it's it's to be able to write these narratives or spin these narratives that you're under threat, right? Which the threat is really but from them. All right, it says they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. But God shall shoot at them with an arrow, saying they should be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Well, I mean, and all men shall fear and shall declare the work of the Most High, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. The righteous shall be glad in the Lord Yahweh, and shall trust in him, and all upright in heart shall glory. All right, so we know these men are doing all this bullshit behind the scenes, right? Plotting and scheming, and how we're gonna create this narrative and whatever. Right, that's what they do. Right, and people are none the wiser. The majority of people are none the wiser. All right, it's Micah 2 verse 1. So woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. Right, so like I said, they're always plotting and scheming. Right, so when the morning is light, they practice it. It is because it's in the power of their hand. Right, because they control media. They control the information that you receive. And yeah, we know we've got alternative media and that, but apparently that's supposed to be fake news, isn't it? So you're not meant to believe that. So the official narratives are what we're being fed through, these government broadcasts and all that kind of business, BBC, NBC and all these different news outlets, right? They're meant to be official narratives because they're being fed information, right? So they're being given information by somebody, supposedly from these journalists, right? Right, but you notice that a lot of these articles or this information comes from Reuters. The sources from Reuters a lot of the time, right? So it's just controlling information being fed and told to the public, right? And because they have the power to shape narratives, right? Like I said, the Americans already get, Trump ass kissing right now. That's what they get right now, but they don't hear the other side of the story on Iran's side or Russia's side or whatever. And although all these nations are gonna, shield for themselves, when they talk about other nations and stuff like that, obviously they're not going to tell the whole truth on themselves. They're going to try and paint themselves in the most positive light they can, right? But you have to kind of disseminate all this information for yourself and figure out what's going on, because they're all going to lie to some degree, especially Esau, right? Especially you Americans, right? So yeah, but they have the power in their hands, so they control what we kind of, our perception of things. Okay. Is Isaiah 47 verse 10. So for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Right? Because you think you slick. You think people don't see what you're doing. Okay, but we see you. We understand what you're doing. So none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge it hath perverted thee, and thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, right? So like I mentioned, your media, okay, your news outlets and whatever, your movie industries and all that kind of stuff, right? That's all part of your witchcraft. That's all part of your sorceries, right? To cast a spell on people to make them believe a particular thing, And so you're leaning on that to get your agenda pushed and fulfilled, right? By fooling the people with your bullshit, with your lies. All right. This is stand now with thy enchantments. Did I read? Stand now with thy enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so, thou shalt be able to profit. If so, be thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. That now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Right, so you're always trying to figure out the best route, in order to achieve their goals, right? And then they're trying to do it, covertly, but people are catching on to your bullshit, right, and calling you out. So the lies get harder and harder to spin because it becomes more and more obvious. Trump is just obvious. It's obvious he's talking crap, So it gets harder to hide, So his whole facade or the illusions are kind of falling apart now. America's is looking kind of stupid right now. Okay. So yeah, they're worried in the multitude of councils. So let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee, right? Your destruction, your judgment that the Most High is going to bring. None of that's going to save you or help you against the Most High. Right? See, behold, they shall be as stubble, as the fire shall burn them, and they shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast laboured, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one to his quarter, none shall save thee. All right, so this isn't going to end well for you, Esau. All right, so you can play all these stupid ass games, but it ain't gonna work. This is Revelation chapter 12, verse 9. It says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. Right, that's the job of these Edomites, man, of these so-called white people, these Americans and whatever, these rulers, these leaders of the world. They're here to deceive the world. These are not righteous men. They're not godly men. They're the devil and Satan. Right, so if you believe in the scripture, you should know from the get-go, these people in power can't be trusted. Right, they mean you no good. Right, but apparently, Trump is the bastion of Christianity right now. because he ran on making the Bible great again. he doesn't believe in the Bible. He doesn't know nothing about the Bible. He got no values that coincide with the scriptures. It's all bullshit. So it's all lies. They pump nothing but lies, but that's how it's supposed to be. And if you're stupid enough, gullible enough to believe them, then yeah, you're gonna take that mark of the beast and be destroyed. But if you believe in the scripture, you should know better that the leadership can't be trusted, because the leadership is corrupt. All right. So again, it says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. The world is in great deception right now because of its leaders. Right. So he was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Right. So we're about to witness, these Edomites being cast out of their kingdom down to the ground. We're about to witness that. All right. This is Revelation 18, verse 23. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be no more heard at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. By all your lies. Okay, your media, all that, it's all lies. All telling you lies, pumping you full of lies, man. Creating a version of the world that don't really exist. These men can't even be open and true enough to tell you who they really are. They won't come out and tell you that they're Edomites. They won't tell you Jacob are the Israelites. They ain't gonna do none of that. All right, so their whole kingdom is based upon lies. And we all know what happens to lies in the end. Okay, they get found out, and once the lies have been found out, it has no power no more. Right, the truth prevails. Right, and that's what's going to happen when Yahushua turns up. The truth is going to be known, and Esau is going to be cast down. All right. So in her was found the blood of the prophets, and of the saints, and of all that was slain upon the earth. All right. And so I'm just going to close up with this, Revelation 13 and 16, because this, again, all this is to achieve this goal. Right. And so this is why all these, the T attacks and the false flags and the black swans, they're all to achieve this goal, to put pressure on people to accept the MOTB, when it's time, when the Esau brings it out. Right. Because all the resources in the world is strained, right? People can't get things, and so easily, or it's super expensive, right? Esau's creating, the situation where you're gonna need to rely on him. Okay, but he's gonna say, well, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna have to take this, right? Because we're about to set a whole new system up that's it's not going to be affected by what's going on, This is the new system that we're going to put in place. All right. So this is Revelations 13 and 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark. Right. They want to control what you can and can't do. All right. And everything, it requires, being able to purchase something, man, to transact something. Right. And we know that this MOTB technology, this RFID technology, it does a lot of things, man. Right. And it's all about control. As John would say, total control. Right. Because they that's what they're on right now. And all you got to do is listen to to the leaders of the WF and things like this, right? What it is that they want to achieve with this technology that they got. Right? It is about control. Okay? It's about subservience. All right? But they're just going to put you in a precarious situation, a precarious position to make you make that decision, man. To give up all your liberties, all your rights, all your freedoms. Right? To be managed by this technocracy, man. All right? So that verse 17 again, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Okay, you're going to require the mark of the beast to live from henceforth. Right, that's what the condition is going to be. Right, and like I said, the majority, you're going to accept it because the pain is just far too much. Right, you're not prepared to go through it. You want Esau to save you. Okay, we don't want Esau to save us because he can't save nobody, because he can't save his damn self, right? We're gonna wait for Yahweh Shem Yahushua to save us, right? Because this is ultimately why this is happening. The Most High is judging the earth, right? And so if we're on the right side, right, the Lord's gonna protect us, right? If we're found faithful, the Lord's gonna protect us in these times of trouble, right? But it's understanding that the Most High is the one ultimately in control of all of this. Pardon me. All right, and the Most High is making Esau make all these moves to put himself in a position of to receive his judgment, man, to fail. All right, so yeah, I expect a lot more of this stuff going on, and worse, right? Let's say it's not nearly surprising, but do expect a lot of this, a lot more of this sort of stuff going on. I know this isn't the only type of thing that's going on recently. This is just the one that happened over here recently. But I know there's other things going on, But yeah, you're going to see a lot more of this to put pressure on the people. But anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom. Lord, this was edifying. And I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. Until next time, I say shalom.